Hi, hello, vanakkam, and welcome back to yet another episode on Little's Law YouTube channel. So today in this video, we are going to see about the Postman tool and how are we going to create a post request using the Postman tool. So creating a post request is quite simple. So we are going to see little detail in this video about how to write a test case, how to write a test to validate the response, and I believe this video would be very useful to you. So please do subscribe to our channel, like, comment your questions in the feedback section. And I believe you would have seen about our introduction video on Postman and how do we create the GET request in our previous video. So here we have that. So in case you missed it, please do check our link or the playlist under the Postman playlist. So now let's go to the video. So in this video, we're going to see about how are we going to create a post request. So for that, so we are currently in the Postman tool and in the workspace, and now so we have multiple request types, which are the get, post, put, the patch, and delete. We'll see them one by one in our next videos with an example. So in this video, we're going to choose post request, and then I'm having an URL. So any URL which you want to test, you will have to paste this in the enter URL or the paste text section. And then under the headers tab, so I'm not going to pass any parameters as part of this example. So in case if you have any parameters, please do feel free to copy paste, or please feel free to pass the parameter values. In fact, we will see that in our example later. So in this video, I just want to make it very simple. So I'll just go with very basic example concepts. So the header part, so this is going to be an important one since we are going to run, or we're going to execute a JSON request. So we'll have to add the header, and that is going to be the content type. So we'll have to add a header type, header element, which is the content type. The content type is going to be application or JSON. So that is very important. So in case if we are sending a JSON request in the request body, we might need to add this content type as application JSON. In case if we are sending the content type as a text, we'll have to change it to text. But in this example, we are running an application or JSON data. So we'll have it as application or JSON in the request body. And then so we have initially the params tab, the authorization tab. So in case if you have any authorization that has to be set up, we can add them here. So something like the no auth or the API key or the bearer token or the JWT bearer. So we'll see them one by one in our next example videos. So for now, let's go to the headers, and here we have added the content type, which is the application JSON, and then we'll move to the body tab. So under the body, we have different types. So we have none, we have form data. In case if we want to send data in a format, we can use this. In case if we want to send a value under the form URL encoded, we can choose this option. Or in case if we want to use a raw data, we can choose this option. Or in case if we are using a binary, we can choose this binary as an option. Or if we are sending in a GraphQL, we can use this. So in this video, we are going to send it through the raw option. So I'm choosing the raw option, and in fact we can choose the data format. So either it can be a JSON, or it can be a text, it can be a JavaScript, it can be HTML, or even an XML. So in our previous section in the header part, we have already set it up as JSON. So we'll choose send a JSON data in this code. So let me enter it. So before that, let me create the bracket. So this is how we are supposed to create the body format, and it has to come under the brackets. So first I'm entering the title section. So the title section is going to be Little's Law. So this is the title, and it has to be separated by a comma at the end of the line. In case if you are sending one single line, we don't need a comma, but in case if you are entering multiple lines, we definitely need a comma to separate that. And then let me go to the body, and under the body it's going to be, this is my video on post request. And then again we're going to have another line, so let me separate it with the comma. And then the last section, which is going to be user ID, it's going to be 1. So now we have created the body section. So let's now move on to the next step, which is sending the request. So let's click on send request and let's see what happens or what comes as the response. So here we have got the status is 201 created, so which is a valid request, and then we have got the response with the title is little sla, and the body is this is my video on post request, and the user ID, and then we have got the ID from the response back. Let's check the raw and then the preview. So this is how the preview works. And then so now let's add a few things to this one, so which I have already told you in the beginning of the video. So we will test this response. So why do we need to test it? Because we need to assure that the response that we have got is a valid response. So for that we will have to go to the tests, and before that we have a pre-request script. So this pre-request script is actually which is a part of the Postman that is executed before a request is sent, and in fact this allows us to modify the request parameters, the headers and other settings dynamically based on the input data or environment variables. So we'll see that in a separate video of how can we effectively use this prerequisite request script. So let's now move on to the tests section. So in the test we can write the test sections, the test steps, so that we can identify or we can make sure that the response are valid. So for that we will have to write the code. So we can do multiple assertions for that. So let me just start with first thing, which is, so here we can see in the body we could have seen the status is 201. So in case if this response or the status is wrong, so we can easily identify that. So for that let me create a test case. So check if the response status code is 201, and for that the code comes like this. So pm.test, and inside the brackets it has to be status code is 201, where we're printing it, separated by the function of in here we will enter the condition, so which is response dot to dot have dot status is going to be 201. Then let's close this, then let's close this again. So this is going to be end of testing the status code. So what is this pm.test? Why do we need to use this pm.test? So pm.test is a function in Postman that is used to write tests for API responses. It is used to check the response status code, and in fact we can even test the headers, we can even test the body for specific conditions, and we can make sure that they meet the expected response or the requirements. So this pm.test in fact takes two arguments. The first argument is a description of the test. So this is the first argument which tells us the description of the test, and the second argument is a function that contains the test code. So the first section contains the description, and the second section contains the function that contains the test code. So the function can contain one or more assertions that check the various aspect of the response. So this is the first assertion that we want to test, and let's add one more assertion to this test, and that is going to be, so we can add an assertion to test the check. So let kind of a text check. So we'll check if the response body contains the expected text. So which is, we have this body section, so we'll have to check whether this particular value is coming in the response. So again, it's pm.test and then the first argument, which is the description. So this is checking the response, not checking the expected text in the response, followed by function, where we're going to open a bracket, and then under here we are going to write the actual test case, the text argument. So what we expect is pm dot response, so it already comes here, so pm dot response dot text. So in fact it comes in the support thing, so let me just close this one. Dot to dot include of, let me just paste the value which I have copied. So this is what I expect in the response, and let me close this, and then we are closing this condition. So this is going to be the end of testing the expected text. So here we have set up two conditions, and to test that, let's run the test again. So I'm clicking on send, and we have completed that sending the request, and then under the test result, so here we can see the status code is 201, which is passed, and then this is checking the expected text in the response, which is, so this is my video on post request is what we see it in the body. So in case if I make some change, so for example if I'm changing it to little slaw, which is in the title, and when I run this, so automatically sorry, let me just so title, yeah, let me just make some change in here. Okay, params, should I check it or what? So for example, let me change let me give some random text, and when I click on it, so here you can see the test results. So in fact we do not have any of the value in both the title and in the body. So in fact if you have it's not supposed to be you must have everything. So for example if you have just is, so which is like part of this is my video post for my video on post request, so that gets passed. So in fact you don't need to give the entire text. In fact just this text, so here you can see it's highlighted, so just this text is enough for you to make sure that the part of this text is enough for the complete request. So the same way, in case if you want to change this response code, you can try that, you can test that. So we haven't got a 200 status code, and yes, it fails. So same way we can test any of the status codes. So with that we come to an end. So let's do a quick recap. So what we did is we have we have selected the post request, and we have tested with the post request, and then under the params we do not have anything to send, and we do not have anything under the authorization, and under the headers we have the content type, and then under the body we have set up the code where we have sent the title, body, and the user ID. We have nothing in the prerequisite script. And then under the test we have set up two conditions. One is to test the status code, and the other one is to test the assertion or the text check. So in this way we have tested the response. So with that we come to an end. So until I meet you in another interesting video, it's bye bye from Vasan Shanmugam and Little Slaw.